Welcome to Massive Upset. What an exciting weekend it is. It's wild card weekend, man, and it's not just wild card weekend, it's wild card weekend. That's what they're literally calling it this year because of the 6 games this weekend, because of the extended playoffs. So we're going to go over every game, recap it. I'm going to give you my prediction, and you are going to give me your prediction in the comments below. 6 games flying all over the place. This is reminiscent of MLB wildcard series where they did the crazy best of 3 this year, but the problem with that was that it was on weekdays. There was like 8 best of 3 series flying around, but they were all on weekdays. This one is 2 days. We get a game on from 1 p.m. to like 11:30 p.m. 2 straight days. It's gonna be just an insanely amazing weekend. And at the time of this filming, we are less than an hour away from the Bills game against the Colts, which we're going to go over that one first. I'm not going to go as detailed about that because it's going to be in progress by the time this video is able to drop. But I'm just going to run down my score prediction for that one first. And guys, I'm going to say these games like in random orders. I'm not just going to go from the time they're being played like I would normally. I just want it to feel as much as possible like there's just games exploding from every direction. Guys, be sure to subscribe if you're into sports like I am. And follow me on Instagram at Massive Upset. I'm sorry for like kind of like a week off. I was like doing this other MLB thing, guys, but then I realized like I really wanted to cover every sport, which I kind of knew, but like I wasn't gonna because I thought like I didn't know enough about the other sport. Which, guys, the truth is that I don't know as much about NFL as I do about MLB and even NBA, but I don't care. I'm gonna really like study it because it's fun. It's fun, and I'm gonna cover all 3 on this channel. So join the team. All right, that was a long intro, guys. But Colts versus Bills is the 1 o'clock game on CBS. That's about to take place. It is taking place when you're watching this. It could be over when you're watching this. And the Buffalo Bills have been red hot. Okay, they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They have only lost 1 game ever since like week 6 when they lost to Kansas City. They've only lost 1 game after that, and guess what game it was? It was the Hail Murray, DeAndre Hopkins catch game in Arizona when they lost by 2. So the Bills are 13-3, and they're legit, man. They have the 2nd best point differential in the AFC at plus 126 on the year, and they have a better offense than they do defense. The Bills have the 2nd best scoring offense, and they have the 16th best defense. So the Bills are average defensively. The Bills are amazing offensively, as you saw just last week in a Week 17 game, which they didn't even, well, they did play for the 2 seed in that game, but they would have got it anyway, I believe, if they lost that game to Miami. Miami needed that, but the Bills just ruined Miami's season with a 56-point performance. The Bills are a true 2 seed. You could definitely make the case that the Bills are better than any NFC team. It's just been fun to watch the rise of the Bills. They were like a solid team, and then they became a good team, and now they're in the top 3 in football. What about their opponent, the Colts? Now, the Colts, you can definitely make the case that the Colts are the best team in the AFC South and that they're better than the Titans. Titans and Colts split their season series. The Colts had a plus 89 point differential. The Titans only had a plus 53. The Colts are good, and if it wasn't for their Week 1 loss to Jacksonville, I can't believe Jacksonville was above 500 after Week 1. So they kind of ruined themselves in September, their chances to win the division, and now they're the 7 seed. They're definitely better than your typical 7 seed. Crazy to think that the Colts wouldn't be in the playoffs if it was a normal playoff format, and they have to play the Bills. Indianapolis, unlike the Bills, is not like way better at one thing. Like, they're very equal in their offense and defense. They're 9th best in offense, 10th best in defense, and I'm going in terms of points scored and points allowed this season. All right, so my score prediction that I put for this one is 30-16 Buffalo, and it's a little bit exciting to see that the Colts might score more than 16, being that they're a top 10 offense and the Bills are an average defense, but I'm going to roll with it. I'm going with Bills by 14. Again, I'm not going to get too detailed into like players and stuff because this one's already underway. I can see the Colts making a close game. I don't think that they'll be like totally blown out, okay? Now, it's NFL playoffs. There are upsets, okay? That's why you could be excited for literally any game in the NFL playoffs, just seeing how a team that was heavily favored, not only did they lose last year, they got destroyed, like the Titans upsetting the Patriots last year, like the Titans upsetting the Ravens last year. They destroyed both of those teams. Okay, they beat the Ravens by a bit, and they destroyed the Ravens, who were the best team in football last year. Oh, whoa. I'm changing my score prediction a little. 30-20 Buffalo. I'll give the Bills 20 instead of 16. I don't know why I'm addicted to picking 16. It's a bit of a weird number. But I'm a Giants fan, and I just watched Graham Gano kick that atrocious extra point last week to start the game. That was like 50 feet off. 50 feet off, dude. He kicked the grounder. All right, so I told you we're going in any random order, and that is so true, because we're on to Sunday Night Football. The Browns and the Steelers, we're going to cover that right now. The Browns and the Steelers, the Browns are without their head coach. The Steelers are locked and loaded, ready to go, but they're 1-4 in their last 5 games, so I'm extremely excited to see how this plays out. Yeah, the Browns played the Steelers just recently in Cleveland when the Browns won by 2, but the Steelers were not playing anyone. So we'll do something different. I'll start with my score prediction and then back it up with everything I have to say. I'm going 20-16 Pittsburgh in this one. Now, a lot could happen in this one, and I'll get to why, but I say the Browns lose by 4. I say they keep it close, but I trust Pittsburgh defense in this game. So the Browns are more of an offensive team than a defensive team. I know they have one of the best defensive players, Myles Garrett. The Browns put up the 14th most points in the NFL this year, and they were 23rd in defensive based on opponents' points per game, so that's not very good. 21st, excuse me. And the Steelers, as we know, are better on the defensive end. In the season, they put up the 12th best offense, but they're a defensive-heavy team with Minkah Fitzpatrick leading the way. Steelers were 3rd in opponents' points per game this season, which is amazing. So the Browns are just so weird. The Browns are like the weirdest team in the NFL. I've been confused on them all season, but then recently, they've put up even weirder, mind-boggling just scores that I just can't wrap my head around how good this Browns team is. So they're 11-5. They went 11-5 this year, but they had a negative 11 point differential. Which 11-5 football team has a negative point differential in the season? They did not finish good. They lost to the Jets, and then they won by the skin of their teeth to make the playoffs. They won by 2 against these Steelers, who didn't play anyone when Cleveland was favored by like 10. Browns won by 2. But before that was their high point of the season. They got an impressive road win in Tennessee. They put up 42 against Baltimore in that crazy Monday Night Football thrilling game. The Ravens have like the 2nd best defense in the NFL, and they scored 42 against them. But I'm not done though. The Browns have had 5 games this year in which they've scored 10 points or less. And what? The 14th best offense in football scores 10 points or less 5 times. But then 7 times they've scored over 30 points, much of those games in the 40s as well. So they're putting up all these points, over 30 points, many of them way over 30 points, 7 games. And then there's these 5 games sitting there where they scored 10 points or less and looked like an offense that just physically couldn't score. The Browns are a running team. Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback, but the Browns are a rushing team. They have 2 running backs who are top 16 in rushing yards this year, with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Browns are 3rd in rushing yards in the NFL. The Steelers have the guys to stop that, though. And the Steelers, on the other hand, are last in rushing yards in the NFL. And they're only 15th in passing yards in the NFL. So the Steelers, they're below average in the NFL in terms of yards this year. Steelers got a quality receiving core of Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and it's exciting to see how Roethlisberger could connect with those guys in a playoff game for the 38-year-old. And the Steelers, though, they've fallen from 11-0 right to 12-4, so it's weird. Are they just gonna really make this a collapse season from an 11-0 team to a 12-4 wild card losing team, or are they going to turn things around and at least get to the divisional? Yeah, guys, I have 20-16 Pittsburgh moving on. To be completely honest, I feel like I'm picking like the good for the Browns type of score. I feel like it's hard to see the Browns actually winning this game. Since I've happened to mention both of these teams so far in the video, I'm going to go with the Sunday 1 o'clock game next, the ESPN and ABC game with the Ravens visiting Tennessee. Obviously, a rematch from last year's playoffs when it was at Baltimore, and the Ravens got a crazy big loss to the Titans, who had a crazy big win. This time I'm going 34-20. Baltimore takes this game. And guys, just like a week, 2 weeks ago, I called the Ravens the 2nd best team in football. I was doing my power rankings with my brother, and I just came to it, and I was like, 2 Ravens. And honestly, Buffalo's tough. You have Green Bay and New Orleans, but I'm going to leave it at that. Ravens, 2nd best team in football. But when it comes to the playoffs, that might be a stretch considering how poorly they played against these Titans last year. And the Ravens are favored this year, but by less than they were favored against the Titans last year. But I got to go with Baltimore, 34-20. Baltimore favored by 3 points according to ESPN. Now, they must have lowered the odds. It was like 4.5, which I think is more reasonable. But I think they lowered it to get the bets more even, because a lot of people probably be picking the Titans when they think of equal records this year and looking at what happened last year's playoffs. But the Ravens are so good, top 2 team in football. They lost their first 2 games of the playoffs 2 years ago against the Chargers, and of course last year against the Titans. So Are they going to win or what? They were at home both of those 2 times with the Chargers 2 years ago and the Ravens last year. This time they're on the road to start the playoffs, and yeah, I see them getting a 34-20 victory. Why? Because I think Lamar Jackson will have a good game. That's why. Titans do not have a good defense. That's why they have an average defense. Titans are a very offensive-heavy team. The Ravens, a plus 165 point differential this season, the best in football. The Titans, a plus 52 point differential only. That's over 100 point differential, and if you like point differential or not, you gotta make something of that. That's a drastic difference. Like the Ravens average, they're only 11-5, but their average game, like they're a plus 10 per game. Like that's how good they are. Their average game is a win by 10. Nobody else could say that. Like the Titans, it looks good for them. They're coming off an AFC Championship appearance. They went 11-5, took down the division this year, have a home playoff game. And yeah, they beat the Ravens in the playoffs last year. But the Titans are a 9-7 conference championship team last year. And this year, as I mentioned, just that plus 52 point differential. So the Titans are a good team, but I see them more as like a 10-win team when I honestly see the Ravens as a 12-13 win team. I'll give them 13-win team type of status. Yeah, both these teams pretty equal offensively, though I would give the edge to the Ravens. They're both like between 5th and 10th best offense. And the Ravens, that second best defense behind the Rams in the NFL. Titans have a pretty average to below average defense. Derrick Henry, man, over 2,000 rushing yards this season. And I'm not hating on the Titans. I'm not. Like, I sort of like the Titans, but I don't want them to win this game after I've said all this about how good the Ravens are. But Tannehill, Henry, 2,000 rushing yards in a season for Derrick Henry. Just incredible. It's like over 125 rushing yards per game. To average that over a full season is just absolutely insane. He led by more than 1,000 rushing yards. So we got 3 more to go, guys. We're going to go with the 4:40 game today. Rams and Seahawks. You probably want me to cover that now because it's in your head. And yeah, it's a big game. It's one of the bigger ones. So I'm not trying to remove it from your head because Rams and Seahawks should be fun. Now let me get my score prediction out there. I originally had a very bad one, so I changed it because my initial prediction, before I did any, actually looking into it, I had 35-20 Seahawks. I had the Seahawks offense just going off in this one. But then I had to look, man, because I literally don't know football until just recently I started caring a little bit more. And then now I'm just going to, care so much about these playoffs because it's fun. It's fun. You got to do a little bit of research into it, but then it becomes fun. And I have 27-17 Seattle. I only have the Rams getting 17 points in this one. Seahawks defense, pretty average, but the Rams offense is literally below average. It's 22nd in the NFL or so. And that's with Jared Goff. He may not be playing today. Of course, the Rams have the best defense in the NFL, led by Aaron Donald. The Seahawks, don't have a special defense. But it's when Seattle has the ball. That's when this game is going to be the fun to watch. The Seahawks and their very good offense on display at home. I'm excited for it. And then the Rams and their amazing defense trying to stop it. Rams had a plus 76 point differential. The Seahawks had a plus 88 point differential on the season. I've called the Seahawks overrated, or just not exactly overrated, but I've called the Seahawks to be the team that wins a lot more games than they're actually good as, in terms of winning 12 games a season despite a not very great point differential. But I don't know, they're maybe more of an 11-win team, but I have them on display at home winning this one today. Just recently, when it was an important game for both teams, the Seahawks beat the Rams at the same venue in Seattle, 20-9. And then earlier in the season, in the middle of the season, the Rams, when it was in LA, they beat the Seahawks 23-16. It was a pretty good division matchup, very close, I should say, in terms of the race for a lot of the year, but the Seahawks pulled away in the final couple weeks, and they won by 2 games. 2 more games to cover. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay and Washington. I'm going with Tampa Bay 27-14 over the Washington football team. Yeah, it would be cool, a team that's bad, a team with no name to advance, but in the end, I don't want the Washington football team to win. I'm a Giants fan. The Washington football team doesn't exactly deserve to be here, and I don't want to see a weird, bad team without a name just kind of make these playoffs really weird. Though, as a football fan, I want a good game. That's the thing, guys, more important to me than the winners when my team is not in the playoffs, more importantly to me than the winners is just the entertainment level of the game. That's what it's all about. Buccaneers played well down the stretch. They Started fine, then they dropped down to 7-5, but then they finished with a 4-game win streak, playing very well, putting up ridiculous, great offense. Seems to be something that you would just say about Tom Brady's record against every team. Nothing notable here, but he's 4-1 against Washington in his career. This will be a fun game to watch when Tampa has the ball because Tampa has the third most offensive points scored in the NFL. The Washington football team has a legitimately good defense. The Washington football team just won't score points in this one. Alex Smith is, what is he, questionable, likely, out, I don't know. He might play, he might not tonight. The Bucs do have a top 10 defense. The Bucs are good. The Bucs, a couple weeks ago, I was ranking them around like 8th, 9th best team in football, but now they're knocking on. They're maybe a top 5 team in football. That offense, Tom Brady had a good first season in Tampa and a good receiving core for the Bucs. Dude, that was like, I just put that in random. I'm talking about how the Washington football team is not going to score many points. I only have them putting up 14 points tonight. Alex Smith might play, might not play, and the Bucs top 10 defense in the NFL, and the Washington football team just a bad offense. And the Washington football team put up 20 against Philly, but that's pretty sad because Philly late in the game was just giving the ball away. The football team still only won by 1 possession. Philly was just giving the ball away, and it was an absolute must-win. I can't see the Washington football team scoring more than 14 points. I don't think it'll be a total blowout, though it could be. I would definitely bet on Tampa on the line of Tampa Bay 9.0. So we have 1 game to go. Saving it just for last for my brother who's a Saints fan because the Bears are taking on the Saints Sunday in the midday game at 4:40. Oh, man. So where am I going here? I'm going 27-17 Saints. I originally had only by 1 touchdown, 24-17, but I'm upping it a bit because I don't know why I've been down on the Saints lately. When I look in, they finished their season strong. They had those 2 losses in there to KC and more sadly Philly, but they should be very healthy for this game. Kamara had COVID, but he is going to play, and same with Thomas. He's likely to play against the Chicago Bears after an ankle injury, which kept him out the last few weeks. But as expected, as planned, he's back for the start of these playoffs. But even if one of those guys happens to still be out, I think the Saints will still be able to get it done. Why? Because the Bears are average, if that. I see the Bears as an 18th best team in football. That's probably going to be a saying I say a lot on this channel. Like, I see you as an 18th best team, whether we're talking about this team, the Bears, the Orlando Magic, the Brewers, the Angels. They're all 18th best teams. So the Bears went 8-8 with a plus 2 point differential in the season. But let's remember all that flukiness that they had at the start of the season. They were 5-1 to start the season. And then they lost 6 straight. What playoff team, man, has a 6-game losing streak in the middle of their season? They won 3 straight after that, finished with a loss to Green Bay to go 8-8. Trubisky is playing. The Bears always be switching their quarterback situation, but Trubisky, as he should be, is gonna start this one. But if he's doing bad, man, don't hesitate to bring in Nick Foles, the Super Bowl hero of 3 years ago. Orleans is favored by 10 in this game, which, I have them winning by 10, so I think it's fair, but, that's a big favorite. I can't remember a playoff game in recent years that a team has been favored by 10 in a playoff game. Tampa's favored by 9 right now against Washington, and I wouldn't be surprised if they move it up to 10 right before game time. Because everyone's going to be betting on Brady and the Bucs. I can't really imagine too many people betting on Washington unless you think it'll be a low-scoring game, and that they'll be able to keep it within 10, 20-something to teen-something. But for real though, I would bet on most favorite teams to win by more than their line. Saints are good. The Saints have the best point differential in the NFC, man. And I know they would have to win at Lambeau Field in Green Bay if they want to go to the Super Bowl, if the Packers can just survive their divisional game, which is very tough. But if it was in New Orleans, if the Saints were able to capture the 1 seed in which they had for much of the season, then I would have them going to the Super Bowl. My official playoff predictions, unfortunately as it may be, actually include the Saints losing a home game if I don't change it. Saints are very consistent. They have the 5th best offense and 5th best defense in football. While the Bears, it's not that Bears defense anymore. The Bears defense fell to 14th best this year in terms of opponents' points per game. And the Bears offense, not absolutely atrocious like it was looking like. They could actually score a little, but still 23rd best offense on the season. So yeah, mark it down 27-17 Saints for me. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I know this video was super long, but there's 6 games, so you might have skipped your favorite one, but hold on. We have something important coming. Make sure you follow that Instagram account, guys, because there's literally like not just gonna be update posts on there about what's going on with my YouTube channel. There's gonna be like literal coverage, quality sports coverage on there, and YouTube videos going for like maybe twice a week right now on here. But I'm planning to get a camera, planning to get some better editing tools, and therefore I should be able to maybe up it and want to spend like more time editing YouTube and really quality YouTube, because 2021, after all, is going to be my breakout year in sports on social media. So I'm glad you're here right now in January, and it's an amazing time in NFL playoffs, man. Let's go. Let's get it, boys. Let's go.